Nobody likes to break bad news. We worry about how to do it, how someone will respond, and how we cope with their response. Now, when someone has intellectual disabilities, this whole area of breaking bad news becomes even more difficult and worrying. How do you tell someone that they have a serious illness, or that her dad is dying, or that her sister is leaving home? It may seem the easiest option to get someone else to tell them, or even not to break the bad news at all. Sometimes people do try to pretend that the bad news hasn't happened. I know some people with intellectual disabilities who weren't even told that their mum or dad had died. Now, there are many reasons why people with intellectual disabilities are protected from bad news. For example, she couldn't possibly understand it. It will upset him. What's the point of upsetting him? I'm not the right person to tell her. It should come from someone closer to her. His family doesn't want him to be told. We can't go against their wishes. I don't know how to break bad news. How can I possibly tell him? If the doctor tells him that he's going to die, his health will get worse. He will just give up. The thing is, not breaking bad news doesn't make the bad news go away. People with intellectual disabilities will notice these significant changes in their lives, and most will need quite a lot of help in coping with those changes. If we don't help them understand what is happening, it can leave them frightened and lonely. We may also rob people of an opportunity to come to terms with life's events, including death and loss, and maybe even of the chance to say goodbye. I have spent several years here at St George's University of London doing research into how we can support people with intellectual disabilities better, particularly at the end of life and when they are bereaved. We've listened to many people with intellectual disabilities, their families, their carers, the staff who support them, and also to doctors and nurses working in palliative care and cancer services. I have developed guidelines on how we can support people with intellectual disabilities better when something difficult happens in their life. These guidelines are adaptable to communication ability and to level of understanding. They address the many complex needs of people with intellectual disabilities, including, for example, the needs of people who don't have a clear sense of future and people who have difficulty in understanding abstract concepts. These guidelines offer highly practical and effective tips for families, carers and practitioners to make sure bad news is relayed as sensitively and successfully as possible. I hope you will find them useful.